Let's talk, Paran. Let's talk, pasado, presente, futuro, let's talk, Paran.
Welcome everyone, bienvenidos a todos. Let's talk Paran, past, present and future, brought to you by the National Paran Association of Trinidad and Tobago. In today's episode, someone who's been in the Paran fraternity for over 40 years, Señor Jorge Carter. Mr. George Carter, ¿cómo estás?
It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I'm well.
This feels like deja vu.
Well, when Paran people meet, that's what has happened.
I think so. So they say I cannot be talking about Paran, their past, the present and the future of it if I don't talk to Mr. George Carter.
Well, if you
Can
put
you
it,
tell me why is that?
well, I think what has happened over the years, you know, especially with the educational part of Paran, schools Paran, you know, from the beginning in 78 it started with a lady called Diana McIntyre, and I was around in the 1979 at Woodford Square when we had 23 schools, but it wasn't a competition, it was just a festival. And after that, it sort of settled down, and about 1990 it started again. And since 1990, every year I'm around schools, not only the schools not only the school where I taught, but doing a lot of work with other schools, getting songs for teaching. My wife and I getting songs for schools and whatever help. So I suppose based on that, people see me around Paran. Then I am one of the persons who play with Amantes, the Parranda, right? So you've seen me around Paran since 1974.
So can you talk to me a little bit about house-to-house Paran in Lupino?
But what was happening is that some of my relatives, starting with my mother, she grew up in Kaura, and then my great aunt. So from a small child, you always hearing about people like Sotero Gomez, and you're hearing about the Paran, and then, well, Mommy used to make her own pastels, black cake, right?
You have all those recipes down, right?
Well, in my head. And then going to school around the late 60s, there was a teacher who taught it best that if you want to teach Spanish, one of the ways you could start off is by getting the children interested in music from Venezuela. And I always remember the first song, I had just started to play the cuatro, as I said chung chung. Fuego al cañón, fuego al cañón, fuego al cañón, para que respeten nuestro parrandón. Right, that is etched in my memory. And then around 1971, I started to visit some relatives in Lupino, the Guerrero family.
1971, the Guerrero family, yes?
Yeah, Tanti Hildred, Uncle Ben, who passed on, Arta, Brenda, Gail, going down the road. And it was a Boxing Night 1970 Christmas. I saw Paran for the first time. When a Paran group, we were up there, the family went to visit them, and this Paran group came. And it was the Icons of Lupino.
Icons of Lupino.
Yeah, the people like Papa Goon was in that group, Sotero with the violin, Uncle Kishwe with the upright bass, wherever they had Mandola, I can't recall everybody. And that was my first encounter with.
What year was that?
1970 Christmas, Boxing evening.
Okay.
But before that, you had music over the radio. In those days, Trinidad had 2 radio stations, like the St. Joseph Hilltoppers, Levanta, and all these songs. That was really the first Paran music I heard.
Okay.
Right, from Ben Flores and these people.
Can you recall back in the days Paran group names and stuff like that?
Yes, when you started to see Paran groups have a name when the association was formed.
Okay.
So the same group from Lupino was called Los Ice Los Caballeros. Ice was a company that does make ice.
Okay, so it was
Oh,
ice.
yeah, some kind of ice business. Los
Okay.
Caballeros.
Mucho frío, los caballeros.
Maybe Los Pavitos, Los Parios. Daisy came a few years after, and they started to give themselves names. And Well, of course, around 1971, the little competition started.
So you know the origin of Paran, it's always been a topic of some controversy. Some people say, oh, it come from Venezuela, it didn't really come from Venezuela. From your experience,
Well,
where did it come
understanding our history in Trinidad, what you recognize, we did have elements of it here. Because you had Spanish people living here. And of course, because Parang has a strong, if you want to call it, Catholic influence, Mary. But what you recognize is that the greatest influence on the Trinidad Parang happened between 1870 and 1920 when they started to develop cocoa. And they wanted workers and he was getting them from Venezuela. They knew the art of growing the cocoa.
Okay.
So obviously when you come in, you bring in your cuatro if you have one, or your shack, and you bring in your music. The whole thing about the Parang, La Parranda, which has to do with a gathering of people, eventually it became the word Parang in Trinidad, but it came from La Parranda. And somebody, baby come from the hospital or baby, a christening, I saw it already. Somebody come
So
to show you.
any happy occasion, they will use it and sing
and sad too.
the music.
But sad is to be
Right.
happy like a wake.
Celebrating.
I saw a wake in Lupino already and that was fantastic.
Celebrating somebody's life.
Yeah, and then in the old days to remember, they used to keep the body with ice. They used to bring ice and you keep the body cold till you're ready to bury.
Con velorio.
Right. So what you do, you had to have entertainment. So I come from Santa Cruz, I come to look for my uncle. He has a cuatro there learning to play it. Next minute somebody pass. Boy, look, you hear that man playing cuatro, boy, and you reach down the road. So the whole thing was a gathering. It's a gathering of people, an occasion then. And you will cook and somebody birthday, right?
Not just for Christmas season.
No.
Yeah. So Mr. Carter, 46 years ago, you started this journey, Amantes de Parranda,
Amantes de Paran, we just say Amante.
which remains one of the top contributors in this art form today. George Carter, the guitar player and composer. Tell us a little bit about this talent and how this talent of yours, you compose music, you play the guitar, you play the cuatro, your role in the band Amantes de Parranda.
Well, basically my role right now is I'm one of the UNIS Foundation member in the band right now, right? And most of the work in the band now, my children do it, especially Mikel, with the mother, because she writes.
Okay.
The last song we wrote was done in 2018, I believe. There was a Parang jingle competition, and the younger folks like Gregory Joseph and Mikel and Denlis and they got together, and I can't remember if I gave any pointers, but they constructed this jingle. And
But you put that seed in them, so
well,
you did a lot.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yes, definitely.
That you know, they studied music and so on, and one of the things I find that, you know, is good when you have your children, you pass on whatever you know. So they have taken up the mantle and they do the composition. The only composition I have around the group is Oiga, not the modern version.
Okay.
Canto el Anuncio, and there was a song I did many years ago, especially for children in school. Ha ha ha, ho ho ho, alegría cantamos el niño Jesús. Ha ha ha.
They make it easy and catchy for the kids to follow.
And one of the things I was telling my wife, you know, we need to maybe 2-3 verses, not many, and you construct it in such a way where they're learning words.
Okay.
Because you know you have different rules you have to learn when you're learning Spanish, and I could do it through song as your teacher who taught me when I was going secondary school.
And that's how I learned English, with songs. Yes, yes.
And the arts, even when you're teaching as a teacher, if you know how to inculcate the visual and performing arts in your work, you get a better class.
So you were talking about the jingle. So what went on with the jingle? How did it go? Did you guys win?
Yeah, we won with it.
First place.
Yeah.
Nice. So you guys won the jingle competition. So tell me about any other accomplishment from the band. You guys were crowned also for the National Parranda Association of Trinidad and Tobago in 2007.
Yeah, 2007.
Yes, 2007.
Well, that was a tremendous experience. The song was written in Tobago. We were in Tobago that weekend, and Roland Gordon was our musical director then. And Henrietta put in words and counting syllables, and he put in music. Of course, he a little tipsy.
Un poquito borracho.
Yeah.
Un poquito.
And then he it was composed. Let's remember it. Le vamos a cantar en alegre coro de este gran misterio. Le vamos a cantar esta profecía que niño nacería. A la Virgen María un ángel apareció. Virgen María un ángel apareció.
Let's talk Paran, presente. Let's talk Paran.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Parang, Past, Present and Future, brought to you by the National Parang Association of Trinidad and Tobago. I want to say thank you to the Ministry of Community Development, Culture and the Arts for your continuing support.
Let's talk Paran, presente. Let's talk Paran.
Welcome back, and in today's tutorial we are going to be doing Sereno Sereno. You know that one, Mr. Carter?
Of course, of course.
What chords are we going to be using today?
We have a D major, a G, and a A7, and for a bridging or a passing chord,
D7.
we have a D7.
So the chords are
D, G,
A7, and D7 as a passing chord. And the chorus goes,
Sereno, sereno, sereno será, ese tan sereno de la madrugada. Sereno, sereno, sereno será, ese tan sereno de la madrugada.
and for the verse we have, esta es la casa que yo les decía, que al llegar en ella la puerta se abría. Esta es la casa que yo le decía, que al llegar en ella la puerta se abría.
Sereno, sereno, sereno será, esos son serenos de la madrugada. Sereno, sereno, sereno será, esos son serenos de la madrugada.
Esta parrandita que yo sí paría, y venimos adorando al Hijo de María. Esta parrandita que yo sí paría, y venimos adorando al
Hijo de María. Sereno, sereno, sereno será, esos son serenos de la madrugada. Sereno, sereno, sereno será, esos son serenos de la madrugada. Y yo vengo cantando con música y alegría, porque ha nacido el Hijo de María. Yo vengo cantando con música y alegría, porque ha nacido el Hijo de María. Sereno, sereno, sereno será, ese tan sereno de la madrugada. Sereno, sereno, sereno será, ese tan sereno de la madrugada.
Muy bien, muy bien. Señor Carter, can you imagine Christmas without Paran?
No, I can imagine that.
Señor Carter, muchas gracias. Thank you very much for being with us today at Let's Talk Paran, Past, Present and Future, brought to you and to everybody by the
De
National
nada, de
Paran.
nada, de nada.
De nada?
Yeah.
Oh, so
It
you
was-
finally said something in Spanish.
Well, as I said, I had to sit down and sort of retire from teaching now. But I had to talk it with somebody who could talk it properly.
Okay, okay.
If you give me to read a book, it didn't stay in my head.
Oh.
If I'm speaking it, I
Right.
remember them.
Okay.
Well, it had been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you. Do you want to say goodbye with a little tune?
Oh, we could sing.
You were playing a little Manzanero.
Oh,
earlier
all
on,
right,
yeah?
all right. All right. This was given to me in Lupino by a guy, a gentleman who's passed, of course, Cyprian Rees. I just call it a Lupino Kaura Manzanare.
Okay.
Río Manzanare, déjame pasar, que mi madre enferma me mandó a llamar. Río Manzanare, déjame pasar, que mi padre enferma me mandó a llamar. El río de Manzanares es un río caudaloso, pero siempre lo atraviesan unos senderos poderosos. El río de Manzanares es un río caudaloso, pero siempre lo atraviesan unos senderos poderosos. Río Manzanares, déjame pasar, que mi madre enferma, cuando haya más. Río Manzanares, déjame pasar, que mi madre enferma. El río de Manzanares con su corriente de plata, donde se van a bañar tú las bonitas muchachas. El río de Manzanares con su corriente de plata, donde se van a bañar tú las bonitas muchachas. Río Manzanares, déjame pasar, que mi madre enferma, no haya más. Río Manzanares, déjame pasar, que mi madre enferma. Yeah, pasa. Of course, there are plenty more voices, eh?
Ahí.
But time.
Thank you very much for watching. Let's Talk Parang, Past, Present, and Future, brought to you by the National Parang Association of Trinidad and Tobago. See you all till next time.
Let's talk Parang. Let's talk pasado, presente, futuro. Let's talk Parang. Let's jam Parang. La parranda trinitaria, nuestra cultura. Let's talk Parang. Let's jam Parang.